Hello everyone, I am CA Vibhuti Narang. Welcome to our channel Voxcov Academy. In today's video, we'll be continuing our income tax series and we'll be talking about the next head of income, which is income under the head profit and gains from business and profession. As is a very lengthy head and many sections are there in this topic, so I have decided to break it into different parts. So this is the part 1 and how we'll move on in this topic is like we have the first topic, which is meaning of income. Then we have what are the expenses which are allowed and then what are disallowed. After that, we have presumptive taxation, partnership and corporate taxation. So for today's video, we are just discussing on the meaning, totally the meaning of income and some expenses which are allowed. Totally, I suppose that 7 to 8 parts will be there in this whole topic. So depending upon the coverage, we'll keep on dividing the topics into different parts. In every topic, I'll tell you that it is covered under which part. First of all, we need to understand what are the relevant sections which are covered in PGBP. First of all, the name itself suggests that it's a profit and gains from business and profession. So business and profession is like business you are doing or you are a professional person, you are receiving something, you are earning something, and from that income, you are expending something. So if your income is more than your expenditure, you are in a good profit. But if your income is less than your expenses, you are certainly incurring losses. So these are revenue losses. Revenue losses means routine losses, not of a capital nature. In this case, the income charging section is only section number 28. This is the first section. And expenses charging sections are section number 29 to 43B. After 43B comes a series of 44 section which will be covered under presumptive taxation. Right? So expenses, whether they are allowed or whether they are not allowed, will be covered from section number 29 to 43B. Now, first of all, we'll be just talking about the section 28 and we need to decide what will be included in income. So the first thing which is included is its definition, that is profit and gains from business and profession. So what is profit? Anything you are earning from your business or profession. For example, there is a shop, then every day there is an income. Then there are some expenses, like expenses can be of fixed nature like rent, salary, or variable nature. It can be like electricity bill, water bill, anything of that sort. So whatever you are earning will be compared with your expenses and profit or loss will be decided. Gains is anything which is incidentally you are earning from your business or profession. Now profit is from your regular business and gain is something because you are having that business, that is why you are earning something extra. For example, you have purchased something and you have received a discount, so that discount is your income, right? So it's an unexpected gain or an incidental gain from your business. For example, I being a CA write something for a website and I'm earning from that as an author. Then in that case it will be an incidental income apart from my teaching or practice income, right? Businesses, it is inclusive term which includes any trade, commerce, manufacture or adventure. So you are doing any trading activity, commerce activity, manufacturing activity, wholesale, retailing, anything will be covered under business. And profession is any job which require a technical skill or a special knowledge. For example, CA, CAs, LLB, lawyers, architects, engineer, doctor, everything. So anything you are earning from these two sources, it can be profit or something which is incidental to profit, or your business or profession is gain. It is included in this definition. The next thing which is included is any compensation or payment due to be received in connection with termination or modification of any terms or conditions of contract relating to agency or business. Similar thing we salary also, but at that time this amount was being received by the employee. This time this is received by the business or the company. Now if the business is receiving any amount on the termination or modification means, for example, I'm running a website. Now I have given a contract for my website for 10 years to a particular company for the maintenance. At the end of 7th year, I want to change the contract or I want to terminate the contract from the existing person and want to give it to some other company. When I am terminating, it is a certain loss. Why? Because the company knew that the contract was for 10 years. So at the time of terminating, I'm paying some amount. That fixed amount or that amount compensation is given by me to that company. For that company, that is income under section 28. Similarly, if there is any modification, like at the end of 6th year, there are some modifications that these things will be included in maintenance and these things will not be included, and there is any loss in the amount. So if I'm paying any amount as compensation for that modification is also income for that second party, right? Any income received by trade, professional or similar association for specific service. Now trade associations, like any professional persons getting clubbing together, for example ICI, you can say ICSI, ICMAI, all those institutes, they are running for a professional. Trade association can be like manufacturing trade association, resident welfare association. What they do, they collect amount from their members and provide services to the members. How they will run, they will have a single source of income from the members only, because they are by the members and for the members. So when they are receiving anything and they are giving specific services to the members, that amount received by that association or trade or similar associations is income under section 28. Then fourth is sum received under a Keyman insurance policy, including bonus on such policy. Now Keyman insurance policy was earlier discussed in income under that salary also, but at that time it was received by the employee. This time it is being received by the business person. Who is a Keyman? Keyman is that one important person on which the whole business is being concentrated. But if that person is not in that company or the business, the whole business can get shaken up. So what the company or the businessman do, they make insurance for that person. If God forbid anything wrong happens with that person, for the time period to appoint a person of the similar capability, the compensation is received through the insurance. So if the business or company is receiving some amount as an insurance, that amount is included as income under the head PGBP under section 28. Then we have export incentives. Now this is more into a customs topic, but still for a rough idea, for example, for every country it's a matter of pride if your exports or your goods are being traded at an international platform. Exports are generally duty free or tax free, but whenever you are manufacturing the product which is to be exported, you are paying some taxes in the form of GST or in that form of if you're importing any import duty. So if any duty is paid for the imported raw material being used in the exported goods, that duty may be refunded by the government. When you are purchasing, you are debiting your profit and loss account or the trading account. But when you receive the duty drawback, you are crediting it. Then it is to be treated as your income. Similarly, if there is any cash compensatory support. Now, what is cash compensatory support is like, you are supposed to trade in an international market and you are not even able to bear your cost. Sometimes you have to trade below your cost also. Why? Because you have to promote your country. Your goods are costing you rupees 100, but you are trading in the international market at rupees 80. That 20 rupees difference has been borne by the government. So if you're receiving any cash compensatory support from the government, again it is included in income. Similarly, there are import entitlement licenses also. These licenses, if sold by the exporters and income is generated, then also it will be included in this only. Next we have is any value of benefit or perquisite. Now, when received by the employee was income under that salary, but when received by a businessman, the businessman can receive a perquisite. Yes, if someone who is providing a very good services, might be the customer or the client gives a good car to him, any good gift to him or her, then in that case, that gift or that benefit provided by the client or the customer to the business owner is income for the business or the professional person. Now, seventh is any interest, salary, bonus, commission, or remuneration of a partner from a partnership firm. So, if the partner, see, partner is himself is the person who is running the partnership firm. He is the owner of the business. So, any salary which is being received is not income under the head salary, because this is something not derived from an employer-employee relationship. He himself is the employer. Right. So if he is receiving something from the partnership firm, it is included in his income. More in detail, we'll have a dedicated video for the same. Then any sum received under an agreement for non-compete fees. So non-compete fees, if received by the employee, was under income under the head salary, but if received by the business, is received under section 28. So if you are supposed not to do any business or profession of the similar nature, many times in companies, whenever we prepare that MOA, Memorandum of Association or Article of Association, we put a clause that if the director is not holding the directorship of the company, he is not supposed to do that business for coming 5 years, and we pay the amount, certain amount, that he should not do that certain activity for the coming 3 years or 5 years, whatever the clause says. So that amount paid by us to the person is non-compete fees, and it is income in the hand of that person who is receiving. Next we have, whenever we have FMV, that is fair market value of stock in trade inventory, which is being converted into capital asset. More certain you can understand from a jewelry businessman or a construction builder business. What happens in that case, if any, see, jewelry if held by a housewife or a lady becomes a capital asset, but if held by a jewelry person, the owner of the showroom is a stock in trade. Similarly, whenever the builder is selling the building flats, when it is held for sale, it is stock in trade, but when he is himself living or using it for his personal use, becomes a capital asset. So whenever that person, for example, a jewelry item which is a stock in trade for that jewelry showroom person, gets converted as a jewelry for his wife or spouse, whatever the case is, that will become a capital asset and it will be deemed as income. The fair market value on the date of conversion will be deemed as income under the head PGBP. Then we have any sum received receivable on the demolition, destruction, transfer of any capital asset, whole cost of which was allowed as deduction under section 35 AD. So I'll not talk much in detail about 35 AD. It has specified businesses are covered. In part 3 we'll cover this topic in detail. But you have to think that if you are selling any capital asset on those businesses covered under section 35 AD, because whole amount was deduction given under this section, whenever you sell and when you receive an amount, it will become your income under this head. So this was all about the 10 things which section 28 covers. Rest from this till the last 43B section are your sections which are dealing only with the expenses. Now we talk about deductions, but the word is expenses. So whatever expenses you are doing against the income you have earned, in taxation language, that expenses is known as deduction. So when deduction is allowed, it is this expenses allowed. When it is not allowed, it is said expenses or deduction disallowed. Right? So there is no confusion. It's only the taxation language. Now the first section, see, I'll not cover for any examination point of view. It's just a general knowledge I'm giving you. So many sections, small sections I may not cover. The important one is only what I'm covering. So first section is section 30, which is rent, rate, repairs and insurance for a building. Building can be used in two forms, as a tenant and as an owner. First is a person who has owned that property, and second, he must have rented that property to a tenant. If the tenant is paying rent, it is an expense for the tenant. Definitely, we are talking about expenses, so we'll not talk in the terms of owner, it is income for the owner. Any revenue repairs can be any electricity fitting changes, any whitewash in the house which will not increase the capacity of the building, then it is allowed as deduction both to the owner as well as the tenant. But if there is any capital repairs, for example, capital repairs like the building was only up to third floor and you are constructing the fourth floor, then that is deemed as deemed building for the tenant, but for owner it is a capitalized nature. He is the owner of the building and that will be claim depreciation in both the cases. If you are paying any municipal or local tax, allowed under to the tenant also as well as to the owner also. Any insurance premium paid, again it is allowed as deduction. Similar section is section number 31, which deals about repairs and insurance of plant, machinery and furniture. Now only repair and insurance are common. For any plant, machinery or furniture, it can be of two types. Either it can be on hire or it can be owned. Right? One is the owner, or he has given the property or these type of plant, machinery or furniture on higher charges or higher basis. Insurance premium allowed, revenue repairs allowed, capital again for the person who has taken that asset on hire, it will be deemed building, depreciation allowed, and for the owner it is a capitalized nature, depreciation allowed. But rent hire charges is not covered under section 31. Still, this deduction can be claimed under a general deduction clause, which is section 37. So all the general business deductions are claimable under section 37. We'll discuss about it in much detail. For now, you can understand that it is not allowed under section 31, but further it will be allowed. So we'll stop all this section series, because section number 32 is only starting from depreciation, and depreciation in itself is a vast topic. So part 2 will be totally on section number 32. We'll talk about every detail of depreciation under that section or that part. So this topic is available on basic income tax as well as advanced income tax, but dedicated is a basic income tax topics. So you can go to the website and take the PPT from there. You can follow VoxCov Academy on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Please subscribe to my channel for future updates. Thank you very much.